In the autumn of 2025, the conservative political world was rocked by the unexpected and tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA. A figure both admired and controversial, Kirk had built an empire around shaping the political views of young Americans, traveling the country, speaking at universities, and creating a network of student organizations that wielded immense influence. Charlie's death did more than just silence a prominent conservative voice. It created a vacuum within the organization he built from the ground up. Suddenly, Turning Point USA faced not only the challenge of leadership transition but also the public scrutiny that comes with the loss of a charismatic and polarizing figure. Questions emerged almost immediately. Who would take the reins? Could the organization maintain its influence without its founder? And how would those closest to Charlie, his family, his colleagues, and the conservative media ecosystem navigate this new reality? Into this spotlight stepped Erika Kirk, Charlie's widow. Though publicly known as a supportive partner during her husband's rise, Erika had largely remained behind the scenes. Now, with the eyes of the media and the public upon her, Erika was thrust into a role she never anticipated, the face of Turning Point USA, tasked with maintaining its mission and protecting the legacy of her late husband. But where there is power and visibility, there is scrutiny. And it didn't take long for one of conservative media's most prominent voices, Candace Owens, to take notice. Known for her unapologetic commentary, her viral statements, and her ability to polarize audiences, Owens began raising pointed questions about Erika Kirk, her background, her claims, and her role in the organization her husband once led. What began as subtle commentary quickly escalated into an all-out media feud, one that would capture the attention of millions, spark viral debates, and redefine how personal drama and political influence collide in the modern media landscape. This is the story of that feud, the battle between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk, a story of ambition, legacy, and public scrutiny in an age where every statement, every clip, and every accusation is amplified to millions in real time. The world of conservative politics was left reeling in 2025 when news broke. Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, had been assassinated. The man who had built a nationwide movement aimed at influencing the next generation of political thinkers was gone. His sudden death shocked his supporters, stunned the political establishment, and ignited a wave of speculation across social media and news outlets alike. Turning Point USA, an organization that had grown from a single chapter into a sprawling network of student groups across the United States, suddenly faced a crisis of leadership. Who would step in to protect the organization's mission? Who could preserve the legacy of its founder, whose personality and vision were so central to its identity? Erika Kirk, Charlie's widow, found herself thrust into this exact position. Previously a supportive partner in the background, she now became the face of the organization, navigating not only the emotional weight of losing her husband, but the public scrutiny of stepping into his influential role. Her every statement, her every action, and her every decision were now under the microscope of conservative media, political opponents, and a curious public eager for answers. In the immediate aftermath, Erika delivered several public statements. She emphasized continuity, commitment to Turning Point USA's mission, and the importance of unity among its members. But the spotlight brought attention not only to her leadership but also to her personal history. Social media users and political commentators began digging into her background, her past statements, and her professional work, a scrutiny Erika had never experienced at this scale before. It was in this volatile environment that Candace Owens entered the story. Owens, already a household name in conservative commentary, observed Erika's sudden prominence with interest. Known for her confrontational style, Owens began to pose questions, publicly, pointedly, and provocatively, about Erika's background, her role at Turning Point, and her claims regarding charitable and political work. What started as speculation quickly gained momentum, becoming one of the most discussed topics in conservative media circles. The stage was now set for a feud that would dominate headlines, a grieving widow assuming leadership of a powerful organization, and a high-profile media figure challenging her every move. This was more than personal conflict. It was a collision of ambition, influence, and public perception. And it was only the beginning. By early 2026, the feud between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk had begun to take shape, but the story escalated dramatically when Owens launched a new series titled Bride of Charlie. The series promised to investigate Erika Kirk's past, her role at Turning Point USA, and her claims regarding charitable and political work. Immediately, the media world took notice. The premise of Bride of Charlie was clear. Owens presented Erika Kirk not just as a grieving widow assuming leadership of a powerful organization, but as a figure whose background and public claims warranted scrutiny. Each episode focused on different aspects of Erika's life, from her early personal history, professional endeavors, and the work she claimed to have accomplished alongside Charlie Kirk. Owens' style was unmistakable, confrontational, direct, and unapologetic. She posed pointed questions, highlighting perceived inconsistencies and gaps in Erika's public statements. While Owens framed the series as investigative journalism, many viewers saw it as highly provocative, and some accused her of exploiting the tragedy of Charlie Kirk's death for public attention. From the moment the series was released, it went viral. Clips of Owens questioning Erika's background spread rapidly across social media platforms, including X, YouTube, and TikTok. Fans and critics debated every claim, dissecting each episode in real time. Hashtags related to the feud began trending, with supporters of Erika defending her and Owens' followers praising her for asking the hard questions. The intensity of the backlash was immediate. Erika Kirk and her allies pushed back, asserting that the series misrepresented facts and attacked a widow still grieving her husband. Meanwhile, conservative media pundits debated the series' legitimacy, some praising Owens for investigative courage, others condemning her for crossing moral and ethical lines. By the end of this period, what had begun as a series of questions and speculation had transformed into one of the most discussed feuds in political media in 2026. Bride of Charlie wasn't just a show, it became a catalyst, fueling a public narrative about scrutiny, power, and the collision of personal tragedy with political ambition. As Bride of Charlie gained traction, the spotlight on Erika Kirk intensified. What had begun as pointed questions from Candace Owens transformed into a full-blown public confrontation. Erika could no longer remain silent. The scrutiny of her personal and professional life was now global, amplified by millions of eyes across social media and conservative media outlets. Erika's response was measured but firm. In a series of public statements and interviews, she emphasized that Owens' claims misrepresented facts and twisted context. She described her role at Turning Point USA not as a product of ambition, but as a responsibility she embraced out of duty to her late husband's vision and the organization's millions of supporters. Erika stressed that personal tragedy should not be weaponized in public discourse. Her supporters quickly rallied. Allies within Turning Point USA and other conservative circles defended Erika, denouncing Owens' series as unfair and morally questionable. Social media posts flooded with messages of support, framing Erika as a grieving widow being attacked at a vulnerable moment. Meanwhile, Owens' supporters doubled down, claiming she was simply exercising journalistic scrutiny and accountability. The feud escalated further when Owens released additional materials, including alleged audio recordings and new footage related to Erika's past. These releases ignited fresh debate, with some arguing that Owens was crossing ethical lines, while others insisted the investigation was legitimate. News outlets, commentators, and political podcasts dissected every clip, dissecting claims and counterclaims. By now, what had started as a single investigative series had become a multi-layered controversy, touching on issues of power, influence, and the intersection of personal grief with public accountability. Erika's every move, every public statement, and every appearance were scrutinized, debated, and viralized, and the feud between her and Candace Owens was no longer just media gossip. It was a story about the fragility of reputation and the intensity of political media in 2026. At the center of this storm, Erika Kirk stood firm. The public watched as a grieving widow, thrust into leadership, navigated an unprecedented media firestorm. But Owens' relentless questioning ensured that the feud would not fade quietly. it would only continue to grow in intensity. By 2026, the feud between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk had evolved beyond personal accusations and public statements. What began as a conflict between two high-profile individuals became a defining moment in conservative media, a reflection of the intense scrutiny, polarization, and digital amplification that characterizes political discourse today. The feud exposed a broader truth. In the age of social media, personal narratives and public personas are inseparable. Every clip from Bride of Charlie, every statement Erika Kirk made, and every reaction online became part of a larger political conversation. It was no longer just about Erika or Owens. It was about influence, credibility, and the power of media narratives to shape perception. Within conservative media circles, opinions diverged sharply. Some commentators praised Owens for holding leaders accountable, framing her as a fearless investigator exposing inconsistencies and challenging the establishment. Others condemned her, arguing that attacking a grieving widow crossed moral and ethical boundaries. News programs, political podcasts, and online forums dissected the feud episode by episode, fueling endless debate. For Turning Point USA, the implications were immediate and tangible. Erika's leadership was under constant public evaluation, while the organization faced questions about transparency, governance, and public trust. Internally, the feud forced the organization to navigate not only grief over its founder's death, but also a public perception battle amplified by Owens' reach and the virality of social media. The audience reaction was equally divided. Millions watched, commented, and shared their perspectives online. Hashtags trended, videos went viral, and memes proliferated, turning the feud into a cultural phenomenon that transcended political news. Conservative media was forced to confront a new reality. In the digital era, the personal and the political collide, and influence can be wielded as effectively through viral video clips as through traditional media platforms. The Owens-Kirk conflict illustrates how quickly public narratives can evolve, how media personalities can shape perception, and how personal tragedy can become a focal point for national debate. It's a story about leadership, scrutiny, and the fragility of public image in a hyper-connected world, a microcosm of the challenges facing every public figure today. As the feud continued to unfold, one thing became clear. This was more than a personal dispute. It was a reflection of modern political media itself, fast, viral, polarizing, and impossible to ignore. As of 2026, the Candace Owens versus Erika Kirk feud remains one of the most talked about controversies in conservative media. While much of the initial firestorm has cooled, the story continues to evolve, highlighting the ongoing collision of personal grief, public scrutiny, and political influence. Erika Kirk, now firmly established in her leadership role at Turning Point USA, continues to navigate the challenges of maintaining her late husband's legacy while addressing ongoing criticism. Her public statements emphasize continuity, transparency, and dedication to the organization's mission. Yet, every move she makes is still observed, analyzed, and debated by millions online. Candace Owens, meanwhile, has maintained her position, defending the Bride of Charlie series as an exercise in accountability and journalistic scrutiny. Her supporters view the series as a courageous exploration of inconsistencies and unanswered questions. Critics continue to argue that the approach has crossed ethical boundaries, targeting a widow at a vulnerable moment. The feud has become a defining example of modern political media dynamics, how influence can be wielded through virality, how personal tragedy can intersect with public narrative, and how leaders, both official and unofficial, are constantly evaluated in the court of public opinion. For viewers, the story is far from over. Social media continues to amplify reactions, clips, and commentary. The broader conservative media ecosystem remains split, with debates over ethics, accountability, and influence continuing to dominate online conversations. In essence, the feud has transcended its personal origins to become a symbol of the power and peril of public scrutiny in the digital age. Ultimately, the Candace Owens versus Erika Kirk feud leaves us with key questions. How do we balance accountability with compassion? How does public perception shape the legacies of influential figures? And In a world where every word, every statement, and every clip can go viral, who truly controls the narrative? The feud may never have a clear resolution, but its impact on media, politics, and the lives of those involved will be studied and debated for years to come. This is the Daily Sip.